Hello, my name's Peter Dobie and I'm the Executive Creative Director of branding consultancy Design House here in London. Thank you for joining me today. I'd like to share with you some of our thinking and examples which demonstrate how the power of brands and brand identity can bring benefits in this rapidly changing world of travel and travel retail. We've been working across many industries sectors globally for over 50 years. Travel retail and hospitality are all areas where Design House have rich experience in creating new brands as well as refreshing brands or simply creating campaigns or new graphic assets for existing brands. Another sector we have an increasing depth of knowledge in is technology and software, where we're helping companies develop their brands and communicating their offer. Enter COVID-19, and as we all painfully know, the music stopped. Or so we thought for a few days, before the penny dropped. In the midst of every crisis lies opportunity. Now is the opportunity for brands to stop, assess their current setup, and measure up for future innovations. On the High Street, 2020 proved to be a transformational year for retail, offering a compelling case for a digital-first approach. As stores closed due to COVID-19 restrictions, customers were forced to shop from home. To reach these lockdown consumers, retailers had to take advantage of the only channel available, scaling up their online capability. This has led to more and more retailers turning to technology for a more digital approach. However, technology is only half the story. To successfully connect with the new digital channels, it's not enough to simply have a presence. The brands who've seen the biggest benefit are those who've not only embraced the technology, but have enhanced their brand through the user experience they deliver. The first half of 2020 saw 5 years of growth in online market share in a matter of weeks. Marketplaces like Amazon are flourishing. The e-commerce giant doubled its net profit year on year to $5.2 billion in Q2 2020, compared to $2.6 billion at the same time in 2019. COVID-19 and the economic crisis will remain the biggest challenges of 2021 and beyond, with people reluctant to return to crowded environments. And as the months tick by, customers are changing. New habits are forming. Their shopping norm has now become screen-based. Digital adoption has soared during the pandemic, with many traditional brands finally going online. Indeed, some fashion brands have closed their high street operations altogether and transferred their entire offer online. Retailers at airports have still to catch up with the innovations that are happening outside of their own world. With the unknown factor when global travel will resume, the impact on the travel industry is, as you know, huge. Whenever the new norm does resume, the industry will still need to do a huge catch-up and catch-all. A wait-and-see approach is just not going to work, since the new normal is here to stay, and for the long term. Digital transformation has been happening for some time, and Design House has been hearing this from clients in every sector. So across industry, joined-up thinking is required to allow the benefits to be more than simply the sum of the parts. The key strategies for digital transformation are driving customer experiences with customer data platforms and personalization. tracking customer interaction at every touchpoint within the airport with the brands and their products. For travel retail, this means integration with enterprise systems and making the customer data, their profile, history, interactions, travel details available at the point of sale, allowing the customer to choose the point of pickup, store, kiosk or departure gate, or as I mentioned later, their destination or home address, all for their convenience. This means a well-integrated system of companies and brands with airports and travel service providers. When Booking.com asked 12,500 travellers from nearly 30 countries, 57% said they wanted a single app for all their planning, booking and travel needs. A must-have travel super app. With most consumers owning numerous gadgets using multiple channels for all their needs, booking tickets, tracking status, tracking loyalty points for the airline, buying products, timetables, weather, taxis, turning on the lights, checking the doorbell. If all these different relevant apps used by the consumer can be pulled together into one super app, the benefits will be immense for everyone. The customer can use the same super app to book their tickets, check the status of their flights, or track a product's delivery, purchase a product from a brand, and use the same app to track loyalty points for the airline and the brand purchase. Connected app will give the customer everything they need under one umbrella. Again, this just requires a well-integrated system of like-minded companies and brands and technology. Super apps of sorts already exist to some degree in most places. In APAC, where e-commerce and messaging businesses such as WeChat, Alipay and Meituan in China, Line in Japan and Paytm in India have all built multi-purpose apps from which users can buy and pay for flights and hotels in the same place as ordering a pizza, hailing a cab or buying a shirt. So it's already started. One of our digital clients, who we work with on a number of products and innovations, Amadeus, are already well ahead of this game with a modular platform helping airports remove friction from passengers' airport journeys using cloud-based technology, separating baggage from the check-in process and using biometrics to remove the bottlenecks as the passengers negotiate the many onboarding processes. The call for a well-connected, integrated world is undying and will be here to stay, just as we have to tackle our new norm with the COVID-19, which may also be here to stay. This thinking might be a bit overwhelming for a retailer set to reopen the doors in the coming weeks, months, years, whenever, so it's worth focusing on where you can have the biggest impact. If you're reopening imminently, consider the touch points of your brand that could be improved to minimize contact and increase personalization. Longer term, you might want to consider updating your store's space and design, creating a more calming, imaginative, or unique experience. With more time, or when a physical footprint makes no sense in the near term, your digital presence can embody what is lost by physically interacting with your space and your brand. Either way, there are a growing number of digital augmentations to support your brand and set you apart from competitors. Take your pick from virtual mirrors, live stream commerce, walkout moneyless technology, augmented reality, or even touchless cosmetic shopping, all coming soon to an airport near you. But one technology I haven't mentioned yet, though, is virtual reality, VR. Delivery of VR through tablets and computers is one thing, and it is another great tool for virtual tours. But headsets are now quite advanced, with brands like Oculus adding a 3D experience in gaming. But these same headsets are soon to arrive on board flights to deliver entertainment, so why not a 3D tour of their final destination, or the airport itself, or maybe a bit of retail, either browsing in advance of your return journey or buying from the seat and having the product waiting for them at their destination. I'm personally quite keen on this technology because I think this is going to happen sooner than later. But a word of warning for the brands. In adopting new channels, do not overlook the power of your brand. The brand is everything. It is differentiating. It brings trust and loyalty. It's the essential, unique experience consumers crave and must not be lost in translation in moving to these new channels. The branding challenge is how to embed the essence of your brand to deliver an enhanced user experience wherever and however you choose to trade, digital or not. This is where your branding agency comes in, ensuring that your brand is up to speed, creating the right assets and brand components to help you achieve your brand's digital transformation. Every brand is unique, and new impressions are made with users through every touch point and connection. Brands engage with consumers through all their assets, working together, whatever they may be. Design House rebranded a high-end shopping street in Edinburgh called Maltrees Walk, which is home to multiple exclusive fashion brands. Our brief from the client was to refresh the brand identity to help drive more traffic to this exclusive shopping destination. Our aim was to create a powerful new identity for Maltrees Walk that delivered a lot more for our client. A brand personality, new DNA, flexible enough to deliver serious business-to-business communications as well as fashionable business-to-consumer messaging. To work digitally as well as physically, dynamic enough to deliver seasonal and promotional messaging locally, as well as establishing the walk's location on the map as a landmark for visiting tourists from around the globe. The identity also needed to work well within the spatial environment of the walk itself, adding personality and enhancing the experience of every visit. Not creating an enhanced shopping trip, creating a shopping experience in itself. The client simply wanted a logo. We delivered a brand experience. As an aside here, I talked about virtual reality earlier. One of the software companies delivering VR is called Matterport. Their platform allows for businesses and organizations to create virtual experiences for museums, art galleries, real estate, and to some degree retail. I say some degree because I haven't seen it done effectively enough yet in the sector, but it is coming. We are considering this technology for Maltrees. With a relatively compact group of stores, a virtual tour would allow viewers from anywhere on the planet to explore the street and its retail offers, allowing users to browse the shop windows, even visit the stores themselves, and interact with selected products with sound bites and video clips to help the sale, and then allow link through to purchase. The whole experience would live on the Maltrees website and could be linked through to their global audience via social media. If COVID continues to disrupt, this is a great solution to allow shoppers to still visit retail destinations, only remotely. I also think it's a great ongoing marketing tool for all the brands that trade there. Another example of creating a brand across multiple touchpoints is the rebrand we delivered for London's premium airport connection to Heathrow, Heathrow Express. The background to this project was that Heathrow Express were losing the monopoly that they'd enjoyed for 20 years with the arrival of London's new Crossrail. Heathrow Express is a private railway owned by the airport itself and charges premium fares for the service. Crossrail will be part of the public rail network and be considerably cheaper. In the light of this, Heathrow Express needs to upgrade the brand and the customer experience to reflect this difference and justify the higher fares. When we conducted consumer research prior to starting the project, we discovered the existing brand was already well liked with much brand loyalty. Because of the service's routing and the short journey time, our research group already considered the service less public transport and more a kind of limousine service on a train. We used this intelligence to convince our client that to refresh the brand rather than fully rebrand. Evolution, not revolution, with a new proposition for the service, an exemplary experience. With our client fully on board, we began a huge exercise to fully refresh the brand from the signage and information portals and ticket machines across their vast real estate of stations and platforms. The refurbishment of the exterior and interiors of the trains themselves, to the internal communications and the academy created in order to improve public-facing employees' engagement with the passengers who themselves were now to be called customers. The number of touch points where we could improve the customer's experience of the brand was almost endless, resulting in a substantial improvement in the overall brand experience. And the result? The Heathrow Express brand refresh was awarded UK's Best Brand Refresh in our industry's Transform Awards, something we're really proud of. Top quartile companies embrace the full user brand experience. They break down internal barriers among physical, digital, and service design. The importance of user centricity demands a broad-based view of where design and branding can make a real difference. In practice, this often means mapping a customer journey, the pain points and the enjoyable stuff. Too often it's copy and paste of technical specs and designs from the last store using formulaic solutions. A successful design approach requires intelligent customer insights gathered firsthand, research, observations, and more importantly, understanding the underlying needs of potential users in their own environments. The companies that performed best financially in a recent McKinsey report understood that design is a top management issue and assessed their brand's design performance with the same rigor they used to track revenues and costs. In many other businesses, though, design leaders say they're treated as second-class citizens. Design issues remain stuck in middle management, rarely rising to the C-suites. When they do, some senior executives often make decisions on gut feel rather than on concrete evidence. Designers themselves have been partly to blame in the past. They've not always embraced design metrics or actively shown management the relevance of their designs to meet key business goals and ROI. What McKinsey's survey unambiguously showed, however, is that the companies with the best financial returns have combined design and business leadership through a bold design-centric vision, clearly embedded within the output of their top teams. Let me now share with you some examples of our work that demonstrates how top management's investment in design can deliver a true return on investment. We were asked to look at a brand refresh for Nuance's European duty-free stores. Andrea Bellardini was the Nuance marketing director at the time, and indeed he helped drive through not an evolving refresh but a revolutionary change from their customary red branding, shared by so many players in the duty-free arena, to a new, refreshing, differentiating colour we now call Nuance Green. The main internal friction against this move was from their CEO, Robert Graziani, at the time, who had concerns about moving too far away from a traditional duty-free colour, red, to the green we proposed as the new branding colour for Nuance. When we talk about rebranding, we don't just mean the logo and the colour. It's the entire graphic language. Typography, iconography, the store design itself, merchandisers, signage, lighting, in-store point-of-sale screens, the animations, technology, messaging and advertising, tone of voice, new online retail stores and boutiques, internal communications, tender documents, brand videos, creating retail experiences, retailtainment, developing mobile apps and tablet technology to educate the customers and extend their dwell time through videos demonstrating malt whisky manufacturing, even developing new types of content, an astrological olfactory selector for customers to select fragrances linked to their star signs. Point of sale was delivered via screen technology with the ability to change language for the customers in store at any time. The result? Well, the branding was launched in Antalya, followed by Geneva, then Zurich airports. It was so successful within these first 3 airports, it was then rolled out across the entire Nuance network of European airport stores. Roberto? Well, I like to think we'd well and truly converted the Nuance CEO to the power of brand. Anyway, he congratulated us and invited us to Zurich just a few months later to discuss another project, the rebranding of the global Nuance brand. This project was a much more strategic and complex exercise in branding and repositioning. For it, we went back to basics and spoke to Nuance staff members from boardroom to shop floor across their operation. We arranged workshops in Zurich, Las Vegas, Hong Kong and Sydney and asked the Nuance teams to tell us what was working well and what was not. The groups were undertaken over a 2-month period and we delivered back to the Zurich boardroom a comprehensive suite of documents outlining recommendations for a new company brand strategy for Nuance to adopt with a global local approach and a family of identities for the brand across the 5 continents in which they traded. The resulting return on investment? Well, the newly branded Nuance chain was successfully sold to Dufry for 1.55 billion Swiss francs and is so valued by Dufry that it retained the Nuance brand and its identity within the group. Now, Roberto, for a money man, was really beginning to enjoy, appreciate and understand what the branding process could really do, let alone the potential return on investment it could deliver. The phone rang again and Roberto, who was now consulting for South Korea's The Shilla, asked if we would consider assisting in their tender for the P&C concessions at Hong Kong International Airport. Now, this was bittersweet for Roberto because, as CEO of Nuance, he had lost this concession to DFS previously, and this tender was hopefully to win it back, only this time for The Shilla. We brought in a partner company that we'd worked with many times, Gregor Jackson's GP Studio in London, who had just completed the outstanding new beauty and cosmetics floor for John Lewis Partnership's flagship store in Oxford Street in London's West End. Hong Kong International Airport's brief was for the successful tender to bring something different to the airport. As you'll all know, the rivalry between Singapore and Hong Kong to be the #1 destination for the Chinese weekender market is really quite intense. They definitely wanted something new and not just a change of ownership for the 8 P&C outlets within the airport. Roberto sat in on the brief alongside some other familiar ex-Nuance faces. Their overall requirement was quite simple: create a new brand with a clear difference within the P&C sector. The new brand should deliver a retail experience and an offer that goes way beyond the traditional existing P&C stores and allow for other fashionable accessories not normally associated with perfume and cosmetics. The brand needed to make full use of all the latest available digital technology. Well, Samsung are their major shareholder. And it was the same Roberto who, sometime before, could not see past red, that stressed to us not to take the safe option. Go for it. From the outset, we all pretty much admitted that we only had an outside chance of being successful against the competitive tenders from the big traditional players like Dufry, DFS and so on. This was probably what released the shackles from the Shilla and not going down the traditional look for a perfume and cosmetics airport store. We named the store Beauty and You to reflect a much wider offer than simply perfume and cosmetics, and it was to include watches, accessories, leather goods, sunglasses and the like. To create the right first impression and show our intent, the whole vision was presented through virtual reality and delivered within an oversized Apple iPhone box, complete with Samsung tablet and virtual reality glasses. Result? The Shilla won the concession. We could not believe it, and neither, we discovered, could Roberto and the others on the tender team. Fast forward a few months and we receive another Roberto phone call. He's now CEO running DFAS in Miami and asked us to help them reposition their offer across the global markets that they operate in. A big shift was needed to maximize their potential and get this rebrand right for their future. So we needed to go back to basics again to understand the brand, its values and the core proposition. We had to find out what their strengths were, their weaknesses, and look at the brand strategy. We held workshops, talked to their employees, external brand partners, airlines, customers, airports, industry opinion leaders. The overall process led us to create a new strategy for their brand, their DNA, a new vision, mission statement, and new brand values for the company. More importantly, along with Roberto, we agreed that the brand name DFAS, Duty Free Air and Ship Supply, was no longer relevant in the marketplace they operated in. They needed a new name and logo that could take them forward in directions that DFAS quite simply couldn't, a name that was not limiting and could allow them to operate in any other areas that they chose in the future. So, after several rounds of naming concepts, DFAS became 360. In the design of the logo, the mixing of the numeric 3 with the alpha 60 was intentionally disruptive, more distinct, more memorable, greater standout. Not a traditional name or descriptor, but a new name fit for a dynamic new digital future. As DFAS, they had a global distribution network and retailed within airports under numerous smaller brands. DFAS had become the world's largest specialist in-flight retailer, overseeing more than 30 in-flight duty-free concessions. 360 are growing rapidly and becoming a substantial network of airport retail stores, but more importantly, they're building an omni-channel experience, allowing their own online customers and their partner airline customers to purchase duty-free products and have them conveniently delivered to their doorstep within the next working day. Their powerful new brand, along with their new assets, gives them what we like to call an unfair advantage over their much more traditional competitors. They have a new brand designed to work for them wherever they want, within whatever digital arena they care to operate within in the future. The result? Well, the Moodie headline on October 19, 2019 said, Hotel Schiller acquire 44% of 360 duty-free partnership to develop travel retail in Americas and drive digital disruption. When we rang to congratulate Roberto, this was his response. The only value they see is the brand. Thanks, Roberto. I admire Roberto. He understands the potential from his own personal branding journey. He's become one of a rare new breed of CEOs and C-suites who value what branding can truly deliver to the bottom line. We need a lot more Robertos in all industries. Designing for the future of retail, or designing to get retail out of this crisis, I've really just scratched the surface and only outlined the direction some of the different digital tools and delivery systems are going in. And apologies if I've not mentioned any others out there, or indeed those already delivering a difference in these wretched times. So whatever new channels you do choose to trade out of this crisis, ask yourself this: is your brand ready? Does it have the standout or necessary ingredients to cut through the digital noise of all the other brands going to these same channels? And remember, it doesn't matter how advanced and intelligent the technologies are that continue to develop. Without the brand adding the user experience, the personality, the excitement, the reassurance, the technology simply remains another tool. Technology without branding is simply technology. Technology with branding creates a brand experience. Brand power will always be the retailer's true differentiating factor. Brand is king. Good luck, everyone. Thank you very much for watching, and I wish you all the best and indeed happy branding.